GraphRAG. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In our last video, we turned a plain AI from a closed book student into an open book student using RAG. The AI could now look up the right pages and answer from them instead of guessing from memory. If you have not watched that one, please watch it first. I will link it above. But today, I want to show you where that open book student runs into trouble. Imagine you ask a question where the answer is not sitting on any single page. The answer is hidden across many pages, and you can only find it by connecting the dots. This fact links to that fact, which links to the third fact. A student flipping through a few loose pages will struggle badly here. To solve exactly this, we have a smarter version of RAG called GraphRAG. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will have zero doubt about what GraphRAG is, how it works, and when to use it. Let me show you. Basic RAG and its blind spot. First, a 30-second recap of Basic RAG. In Basic RAG, we chopped our documents into small pieces, call them pages. We turned each page into meaning coordinates, stored them in a vector database, and for every question we pulled out the handful of pages whose meaning was closest to the question. Those pages went on the desk and the AI answered from them. This works beautifully when the answer lives neatly on one or two pages. What is our refund policy? One page. Done. But here is the blind spot. In Basic RAG, every page is an island. The system grabs pages that individually looks similar to your question, but it has no idea how those pages related to each other. It sees the trees, never forest. So the moment your question needs relationships, how this person connects to that company, how one event led to another, or the big picture theme across hundreds of documents, Basic RAG starts to stumble. Let us look at exactly the kind of questions it falls into. Three questions Basic RAG struggles with. There are three flavors of questions where loose pages let you down. 1. Connect the dots questions, also called multi-hop. Which city is the founder of CloudPay's company based in? To answer this, you must hop. CloudPay is made by a company. That company was founded by someone, and that someone or that company sits in some city. 3 hops. Basic RAG might fetch a page about CloudPay and a page about a city, but it cannot walk the chain that ties them together. 2 relationship questions. How is Priya connected to Arjun? The answer is not started on any single page. It only exists in the links between pages. Basic RAG stores pages, not links. So it is blind to this. 3. Big picture or global questions. What are the main themes across all our project reports? There is no single page that contains the main themes. The answer requires standing back and summarizing everything. Basic RAG only overgrabs a few pages, so it can never see the whole picture. Important point. Basic RAG is not broken. It is excellent for direct lookups. It simply was never designed to reason across connections. And that is the exact gap GraphRAG fills. The big idea from loose pages to a connection board. So, how do we fix a system that only sees isolated pages? We give it a map of how everything connects. Here is the analogy I want you to hold for the rest of the video. picture a detective solving a big case. A weak detective has a messy stack of witness statements, loose pages. To find how suspects are linked, how flips back and forth, page by page, and usually gives up. That is basic crack. A great detective does something different. On the wall, he builds a connection board. Every person, every place, every company gets a pinned card. Then he runs red strings between them. This person works at that company. This company is based in that city. This suspect called that number. Now, when someone asks how is the mayor connected to the smuggling ring, he does not flip through anything. He simply follows the strings. That connection board, cards joined by strings, is exactly what GraphRAG builds out of your documents. In technical language, the board is called a knowledge graph. Let us look at what it is made of. Knowledge graph. A knowledge graph has just two ingredients. That's it. Nodes and edges. Edges. Nodes. The pinned cards. Each node is a real thing from your documents. A person, a company, a place, a product, an event. In graph language, a node is called an entity. Edges, the red strings. Each edge is a relationship between two nodes. Works at, founded, located in, makes. The string also carries a label telling you what kind of connection it is. Let me make it concrete with a tiny example. Priya works at Infitech. Arjun founded Infitech. Infitech located in Bengaluru. Infitech makes CloudPay. Look at what we can now answer that basic crack couldn't. Which city is the founder of CloudPay's company based in? Follow the strings. CloudPay is made by Infitech. Infitech was founded by Arjun. Infitech is located in Bengaluru. Answer Bengaluru. We just connected the dots hop by hop by walking the graph. Nodes and edges, cards and strings, that is the entire structure. Now, where does this board come from? We build it. Building the graph. Building the connection board happens once, upfront, before any questions are asked. This is called the indexing phase. Here is the clever part. We use an LLM to build it for us. We take each document and hand it to the AI with a simple instruction. Read this and pull out the important things and how they relate. The AI reads the text and returns two lists, the entities it found and the relationship between them. Okay, here the entities are nothing but the cards and the relationships are the strings. Okay, so do this across all your documents, stitch the results together, and you have one big knowledge graph of your entire knowledge base. Think of it as a team of assistants reading every file overnight and quietly building the giant connection board on the wall so that by morning every fact is pinned and every link is drawn. Important point. Yes, this costs more time and effort than basic rack simple chopping into pages. Building the board is real work, but you do it once and every future question benefits. Remember that trade off. We will come back to it. Communities and summaries. Now, a real knowledge graph can have thousands of cards and strings. Starting at the whole wall at once is overwhelming for us and for the AI. So, we do one more smart thing during indexing. We find communities. A community is simply a cluster of cards that are tightly connected to each other. On a detective board, you would naturally see clumps. All the cards about the finance angle bunched together over here. all the cards about the snipping angle bunched together over there. GraphRAG automatically detects these clusters, and then for each cluster it writes a short summary. Here is what this whole group is about. Why does this matter so much? Because those summaries are the secret to answering big picture questions. Remember, what are the main themes across all reports? Now, the system does not need to read 10,000 cards. It just reads the handful of community summaries and combines them. The forest becomes visible, not just trees. So, our board now has two levels: the fine detail, individual cards and strings, and the zoomed out view, cluster summaries, and that gives GraphRAG two different ways to answer depending on the question. Two kinds of questions. This is one of the most important ideas in GraphRAG. So let us make it crystal clear. There are two kinds of questions, and GraphRAG handles each differently. Local questions, specific, pointed about particular things. How is Priya connected to Arjun? For these, GraphRAG zooms in, it finds the relevant cards and walks the strings between them, find details. Global questions, broad, thematic, about the whole connection. What are the overall themes in these documents? For these, GraphRAG zooms out, it reads the community summaries and combines them big picture. Same board, two lenses, zoom in for local, zoom out for global. Basic RAG only ever had one move. Grab a few similar pages, which is why it was weak at both connect the dots and big picture questions. GraphRAG has both moves. Let us look more closely at the zoom in move, because that is the real magic. Retrieval by walking the graph. Retrieval by walking the graph. In basic RAG, retrieval meant find the pages closest in meaning. In GraphRAG, retrieval means something richer. Start at the right cards, then walk the strings to gather everything connected, step by step for a local questions. Read the question and spot the entities in it. The starting cards, for which city is the founder of CloudPay's company based in? The starting card is CloudPay. From CloudPay, follow the strings on outwards. CloudPay made by Infitech. Keep hopping. Infitech 2 found by Arjun and Infitech located in Bengaluru. Collect this little connected cluster, the cards and the strings you walk through. That neighborhood is your context. This walking hop by hop is called traversal. And notice the answer emerged from the connections, not from any single page. That is something basic RAG structurally cannot do. For a global question, retrieval is simpler. Instead of walking, you just gather the relevant community summaries. Either way, whatever we collect, the walked cluster or the summaries become the context. And from here, the ending is exactly the same as part 1. The GraphRAG pipeline. Let me give you the whole GraphRAG journey in one line, and you will see it reuses everything you already know. Ahead of time, in the indexing phase, your documents are read by an LLM, which extracts entities and relationships to build a knowledge graph, and then groups nodes into community with summaries. Then at question time, your question is used to find starting entities. The system traverses the graph or gathers community summaries for global questions. Whatever it collects becomes the context. The context and question are packed into a prompt, and the LLM writes the final grounded answer. Build the board once, then for every question, either walk the strings or read the cluster summaries and answer. That is GraphRAG end to end. Now, let us put it side by side with basic RAG so the difference is unmistakable. GraphRAG versus basic RAG. Let us compare them across 5 simple rows. What it stores. Basic RAG stores loose text pages. GraphRAG stores entities and the relationships between them, cards and strings. How it finds things. Basic RAG finds pages by meaning similarity. GraphRAG finds answers by following connections. Connect the dots, multi-hop questions. Basic RAG weak, GraphRAG strong. That is its whole reason to exist. Big picture, global questions. Basic RAG weak. It only sees a few pages. GraphRAG strong, thanks to community summaries. Cost and setup. Basic RAG cheap and quick to build. GraphRAG more expensive and slower to build because constructing the graph is real work. So, GraphRAG is not simply better, it is more powerful for connected and global questions. In exchange for more effort to set up, which naturally raises the question when you should actually reach for it. When to use which? Simple, practical guidance. Reach for basic RAG when your questions are mostly direct lookups. What does this document say about X? And the answers live neatly on 1 or 2 pages. It is cheaper, faster to build, and perfectly good for FAQs, policy documents, product manuals, and support boards. Reach for graph rag when your questions need connections or overviews. When the answer is spread across many documents, when you need multi-hop reasoning, when you must understand how people, product, or events relate, or when you want big picture summaries of a whole collection, think investigations, research across many reports, compliance across scattered rules, or mapping a complex organization. And here is a very common real world approach. You do not have to choose only one. Many serious systems use both. Basic RAG for the quick direct questions and GraphRAG for the deep connected ones. Use the right lens for the right question. Common misconceptions. Let me clear 4 misunderstandings so you leave with zero doubt. Misconception 1. GraphRAG replaces basic RAG. No, it extends it. Both are useful. They shine on different question types and they are often used together. Misconception 2. The graph thinks or answers by itself. No, the graph is just an organized board of cards and strings. It only helps you find and connect the right facts. The LLM still writes the answer exactly like in part 1. Misconception 3. You must draw the graph by hand. No, the LLM builds it for you during indexing by reading your documents and extracting entities and relationships automatically. Misconception 4. GraphRAG is always the better choice. No, it costs more to build and run. For simple direct lookups, basic RAG is often the smarter and cheaper pick. More power is not free. Recap and closing. Alright friends, let us tie it all together. Basic RAG made our AI an open book student, great at grabbing the right pages, but blind to how those pages connect. So it struggled with connecting the dot questions, relationships questions, and big picture questions. GraphRAG fixes this by building a connection board, a knowledge graph of nodes joined by edges built automatically by an LLM during indexing. It clusters related nodes into communities with summaries for local questions. It walks the graph hop by hop for global questions. It reads the some community summaries. Whatever it gathers becomes the context, goes into the prompt, and the LLM writes a grounded answer. Loose pages became a connected map. Isolated facts became a story you can trace. That is GraphRAG, and you understood it without a single line of code.